Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we wanted to share some more methods for propagating. Today we're talking about stool layering, and that is just layering a plant that is already existing, kind of stacking the dirt up on it and creating roots where we had vegetative growth. So let's jump right in here. We have all of these chocolate mint plants, one of the easiest plants we've got to root up. And you can see it's just holding onto those wood chips. But what we did is, you can see how long these plants are. You can hear the thunder in the background. We are out here on a cloudy, kind of rainy day. This was the original growth, and we had buried it down, and all of these other nodes, basically all along it, started growing roots all throughout it. We could basically cut all of these up and take every single one of those and make a new plant out of it, and kind of coil it up and also stool layer it inside the pot. So that's another thing I want to talk about. We've got our strawberries here. This is a super easy one, very cool. My son loves throwing these into little pots. You can see we got 1, 2, and we've got a third shoot coming. These grow by runners, so every runner we've got coming out of this pot, we throw it, put a rock over top of the runner, and then we throw a little bit of dirt and a little bit of wood chips to hold moisture. These have been in here for, I don't know, about a week, so they're probably developing decent roots and taking hold into these small pots here. So we've got 3 strawberries from 1 right now, and after this one gets a little more developed, we'll be able to do the same thing, stick it into a small pot. So your mint and your strawberries, those are some of the easiest plants to stool layer. They basically root on their own, so it's pretty easy to get them going. They're pretty easy starter. We're usually using stool layering to propagate for pot planting, to plant these up to sell, or to plant to transfer into a different location. So this can be done with many plants. We usually do this in the springtime, when it's basically considered a soft cutting that you would take. You just kind of layer it over, throw some compost down at the base of it, throw some dirt down at the base, or wood chips, or a rock. Basically anything you can do to cover it and keep it in contact and keep it moist with the soil, so you will have good root development from that and it doesn't dry out. This method doesn't take very long because these plants are already growing, so they're already producing plenty of nutrients to suffice the extra root growth. As we're stool layering all of these blueberries and all of our figs and our cold hardy kiwi there, we are able to pull these down and layer up to the base of the plant, so we're able to get all of these buried in, and we will be able to come through and cut all of these way deep down, and this one is going to get propagated also. We're basically just going to take that, kind of bury it up. I'll take a wood chip, stick it over, and now this will start to grow roots, and we'll be able to come in and cut that one, and it will not damage your large plant, and we will have a whole new plant to propagate off. We didn't have to cut it, we didn't have to root it ourselves. So you're rooting all of your plants just out of one pot. This is a one pot method for rooting. Stool layering is super easy. We can do it with most of our plants. And when you're burying all of these nodes, you're burying all those undifferentiated cells. So we're deciding for it whether it's going to produce leaves or roots. We're burying it, so we're basically forcing it to create roots on where we're burying. So we'll be able to have a whole new plant once we snip that off in a couple weeks here. This method is much faster for propagating blueberries and other plants, opposed to cutting your plants and actually stressing it out and making the plant freak out and have to regrow brand new roots as to where it has all of the energy it needs while the mother plant continually feeds it. Basically, I just look at this like an umbilical cord until this plant grows its own roots and is developed enough that I can cut it from the mother plant and transplant it into a new pot. And they always seem to grow when we do it like this. This is one of the most foolproof methods for propagating blueberries that I have found so far, because cuttings you get about 50%, and I don't like to use rooting hormones, so we could probably get a higher rate of our rooting with our blueberries and the harder to root stuff. But we don't like to use hormones. We don't want any chemicals in there. You can see our baby chickens are running wild through here. So this is just one more method of propagation that is super easy. And if anybody has any questions about propagating by stool layering, just let me know. It is very simple to do, and you're basically just burying a plant that already exists, you kind of separate it out like we did. We can kind of split the plant out a little bit and separate it, and that way you're growing different plants and you're starting a new plant that you can cut off, not growing it right next to the main plant. So all you've got to do is cut that one main stem underneath the dirt that used to be above ground, and you buried it in order to get roots on it. This is a very simple method of propagation, and we have great results with this. So I wanted to share that because we don't have the best success with some of our cuttings in the water or rooting them up right into wet dirt. Some plants need to be propagated by air layering or stool layering. Next one I want to cover is air layering, so stay tuned for that. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I thank you for watching.